This will be on YouTube later. So.
I was going to ask where you started.
Yeah. Oh, okay, welcome. Good afternoon, Mark Kleiser, Senior Planner with Planning and Building Department, calling the June 11th, 2025 Archaeological Commission meeting to order at exactly 2 o'clock. And before we begin the meeting, we do want to acknowledge with respect the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral lands we hold this Archaeological Commission meeting and whose historical relationships with that land continue to this day. So, moving on to item 1, roll call. Planning and Building Services is me, present. Museum representative?
Here.
Archaeologist representative Bill Cull is absent by prearrangement. Native American representative is open, that position, and alternative representative.
Here.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 2, Archaeological Commission administration. These applications listed below will be reviewed by the Archaeological Commission. You are invited to view the meeting on YouTube and provide any information pertinent to these applications. If you have photographs of the site, you are encouraged to email them to the above email address by 2 p.m. on June 11th, 2025. Okay, and moving on to item 3, which is survey required. We have no items on that agenda today. So we will move on to item 4, which is review of survey. And the first item is a coastal development permit number CDP 2024-0044. The owner is Heritage Pacific Group, LLC. The applicant is Todd and Carrie Bender, and the agent is Wynn Coastal Planning. Megan Durbin is representing. The request is a standard coastal development permit to construct a 2,979 square foot single-family residence, a detached garage with a half bathroom, a detached recreation and equipment storage building, install perimeter fencing, a 2,500 gallon water storage tank, a propane tank, a backup generator, connection to existing well on adjacent parcel. In addition, the parcel will be accessed via a shared easement located on the parcel to the east. The project is located in the coastal zone, approximately 0.4 miles northwest of Little River Town Center and approximately 300 feet southwest of the intersection of Peterson Street and State Route 1. It is addressed at 8156 North Highway 1 in Little River. Assessor parcel number is 121-26038. And do we have staff planner Shelby Miller online?
Hi.
Hi. Any words before we begin to analyze this project, Shelby?
Yes, thank you. Item 4A and 4B are neighbors. They are located right next to each other. And I just wanted to note that the archaeological survey that was provided covers both properties.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And do we have the owner, agent, or applicant online?
Mouse gets there.
Oh, sorry. Hi, Megan, we see your hand. We just need to unmute you here. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, staff and commission. Ms. Megan Durbin here, agent for the applicant with Wynn Coastal Planning and Biology. Thank you, Shelby, for the introduction and that clarifying point that yes, the survey, the archaeological survey we provided covers both properties, items 4A and 4B on the agenda today. We also have a representative from Alta Archaeological on the call in case there are questions beyond my ease of answering or addressing. There were no archaeological resources found on site, and the existing home, which is actually on the 4B property, excuse me for any awkwardness with this, that was assessed and analyzed for whether or not it had any historic significance, which it did not. All of which, of course, is detailed in the report. So just to set the stage, available for questions as the commissioners review. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Megan. So then turning it over to the commissioners, Lindsay and Nancy, any thoughts on this project?
Well, the report, the 89 survey found nothing, and I'm not sure if they considered historic or not, because the second survey done in 2021, they don't mention any prehistoric, but there's extensive historic information, and they went through the criteria, and they said that they didn't fit the California registry criteria, and no further work was recommended. So I have no argument with that.
Okay. Lindsay? Any observations?
No, those were pretty much mine. Alta always tends to do pretty good on their reports, so I figured it was pretty well covered.
Just throw in a discovery clause.
Okay, I agree. Looks like the transects were done at the requested intervals, so.
And they did shovel tests. At least they mentioned it for the second 4B. I don't remember any for the 4A, but
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, then I'm going to make a motion then. We accept the survey with the addition of the discovery clause.
For both? Are we
For
talking
both,
about
well,
both of them?
well, let's talk about 4A now, and then we have to go through the motions of 4B. But
Okay.
yes, for 4A, we will, I'm making the motion to accept the survey with the addition of the discovery clause. The second?
Second.
Okay. And then roll call. Planning and Building Services is a yes. Alternate representative
Yes.
and museum representative.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes 3-1 with the addition of the discovery clause for item 4A. Okay, and moving on to item 4B. This is CDP 2024-0045. Again, owners Heritage Pacific Group LLC, applicants are Todd and Carrie Bender, agent is Megan Durbin of Wind Coastal Planning. This request is a standard coastal development permit to demolish 2 dilapidated residential units, sheds, and a concrete water tank, and to construct a driveway, a 2,100 square foot single-family residence, a 560 square foot detached garage, a 640 square foot guest cottage, and connection to existing well and utilities, installation of a 2,500 gallon water tank, propane tank, backup generator, and septic system. The proposed driveway would be shared with the adjacent parcel to the west, which we just discussed. And the location, also in the coastal zone, approximately 0.4 miles northwest of Little River Town Center and approximately 300 feet southwest of the intersection of Peterson Street, Private, and State Route 1. It is located at 8150 North Highway 1, Little River, assessor parcel number 121-26039. And Shelby, unless you have anything new to add to this one, I think you covered it in the first.
That is correct. I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Okay. And Megan, anything particularly special about this project that you'd like to share?
And no, everything else already stated applies, nothing new to add.
Okay, great. And then with that, turn it back to the commission.
Accept their recommendations with the discovery clause.
Okay, Lindsay?
Yeah, the same
Okay.
thought.
All right, so then I will go ahead and make that motion then to accept the survey with the addition of the discovery clause. Second?
Well, second.
All right. I'm going to do a roll call then. PBS is a yes. Alternate representative?
Yes.
And museum representative.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes 3-0. Acceptance of the survey with the discovery clause. Thank you,
Thank
Megan.
you so much, everyone. Much appreciated.
Okay, moving on to item now 4C. The project number is GP General Plan 2024-0002. The owner is Felice Creek Vineyard LLC. The applicant is Stephen Amato, and the agent is Jim Ronco. The request is a general plan amendment and rezone to change the land use classification of 3 parcels from range land with a 160 acre minimum to ag land with a 40 acre minimum. The project is located approximately 3 miles northwest of Hopland Town Center, approximately 1.5 miles northwest of the intersection of Feliz Creek Road and County Road 110, and it is addressed at 3557, 3565, and 3563 Feliz Creek Road. The assessor parcel numbers are 047-08011, 22, 27, and 047-05031. And staff planner is Shelby Miller. Shelby, any thoughts or items on this project?
Yes, just for the record, the project numbers are the GP_2024 dash, I think 0001. But also there's a second project number, and it's R_2024-0002. I just want to make that clear. Oh, actually, also the general plan project number. I was wrong. I said it was number 1, but it's actually GP_2024-0002. I just want to make that clear for the record. I don't have any comments at this time, but I am open for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, and do we have the applicant, agent, or owner on the line? No, seeing no one. Okay, then I will turn it back to the commission for analysis. Any comments or observations on this survey provided?
Well, the recommendation is that it needs to be more completely surveyed and assessed, and since it's got a year-round creek running through the parcels, I fully agree that there's a high likelihood of these prehistoric archaeological sites out there. So I would follow the recommendations of the Information Center. This one.
Shelby, we do have a survey here, so we're looking at the survey. So are you recommending that there's further
The recommendation,
studies?
it said, the recommendation is that it more completely be surveyed, the parcels. It's only been partially surveyed.
Okay.
And given the sensitivity that they recommend that
Is that here?
the summary, I think there's a.
Well, I think in correspondence, it said something about due to the lack of incomplete survey and the sensitivity that they would recommend a full survey. And I think this is the only time it'll come before our commission, right? There won't be another time it will. So if we want a full report, we need it now.
That is correct, Lindsay. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'd be channeling Bill.
Okay, so then can I get that put into a motion? How would you?
I move that this number, the GP 2024-0002, has a further archaeological survey done.
Okay. So we are not accepting the survey, and we're going to request
A full one.
So then, to restate, the motion is not accept the survey and request a new survey which covers the entire parcel?
Parcels.
Parcels.
Yes.
Yes.
It's one now, and they want to do 3. I'm not sure the wording what would be. No, it's 3 parcels.
Okay, so then the motion would be to not accept the survey and conduct and request a new survey that covers all 3 of the parcels. Or is it 4?
No, I think it's 3.
I think it's 3.
I know I see 4. Shelby, is it?
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'll make that motion again. So I'm making a motion to not accept the survey and require a new survey which covers all 4 parcels. Do I have a second?
It actually might be all, you just want the entire project site, correct? I think it's a little bit more than 4. It might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially. I need to double check that. But
The
on our-
request is 3 parcels.
Okay,
Actually-
is it 3? Okay, thank you. Because I mean, it's a large property, but I know that they are only requesting a portion of it to be used for the project site.
Shelby,
no
would you
reason.
mind, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but could you share a screen? Do you have those maps up? Because I'm counting
Correct.
1, 2,
Yes,
3,
I can.
4, 5 parcels on the project map.
Yeah, and on the project description, it says 3 parentheses, the number 3 legal parcels.
Oh,
Because I would like to then capture those APNs in the motion so we know which parcels we are going to be
They mentioned
requiring.
4 parcels in
In
the
the project.
APN's number.
Yeah,
So but you're counting 5.
I'm counting 5 here on the location map and the aerial imagery. They're marking 5 parcels.
yeah, I think there's 5 parcels, but I think there's only 3 addresses because there's other ones that are just undeveloped completely.
So all 5 of these parcels then are going to be rezoned.
Yeah, let me make sure though, sorry.
This is our chance.
Yeah.
Well, that I was just going to clarify if they're asking for 3, but then do the other 2 have to come before us? Because if not, then we need all 5 of them to be surveyed, right?
Exactly, yeah. And there just is a discrepancy in at least the location request and the location and the request, because the location's got 4 APNs. The request says 3 parcels.
Okay, so the project description says that they propose a general plan amendment and zoning change for parcel 1, 2, and 4 of the vineyard property. Yeah. 1, 2,
Which APNs are those?
They are second. Okay, let me bring this up. Oh, I'm on this. Sure you guys see
Oh,
my
thank you.
screen. Okay. There we go. 047. That one. I'm talking to myself really quick, it's all right. Okay. Oh, there's multiple different APNs, but not all of them are technically parcels. So I'll just list the APNs for
Here's 5 of them.
clarification.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, the APN is 047 080 11 The other one is 047-080-22. And then a third one is 047-080-23. And then two more, sorry, 047-080-27. And last but not least is 047-050-31.
We have 080.
Yeah, the application states 080.
Is it? You know what? It might be 080. I think I know I checked it a million times on the because there was like a weird like a
This says 5.
boundary line adjustment, and it changed one of the APNs, I think. So that's probably
Oh, okay.
what happened. And it hasn't been updated on our one map, so that makes sense.
So it could be a 5. This one says 5, that one says 8.
Okay. So you think it's 050? It just hasn't been updated in GIS yet?
Correct.
Okay. And these
I think on my green sheet, actually I should check up my green sheet because I think I know. I'm not there. Look again.
And where are NWIC's comments once again?
Say that again?
NWIC's comments are, oh, here they are. Yeah, sensitive.
Do you know what the total acreage is? We've got 3 parcels from rangeland,
Yeah, they're all rangeland.
but do you know how big the parcels are?
It's roughly 297 acres.
Total.
I'm sorry?
Total for all 5?
Correct.
Okay.
And while I have staff here, Jocelyn, so the request to NWIC, did that go before the survey was received, or did the survey go to NWIC with the
What's the date on there? Sounds like the
November 14th?
What's the date on the survey?
So this is the second time this project has gone to our commission. The first time I just brought what the Northwest Information Center has said, which was they indicated there was a previously conducted survey. And so the Art Commission at that time requested that the applicant or landowner obtain this ARC survey and to bring it back to the Art Commission. And so that was why we're
So
here
what I'm
today.
thinking is we're reading the survey that was requested the first time around.
Which was only
Because I think,
partial though.
so
Yeah, it's
these,
only partial.
oh, this is only partial, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And it was conducted in 2012.
Yeah, I was gonna make note that that survey was done over 10 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, that settles it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so then we've got the 5 parcels, and the survey should cover all 5 parcels, correct, Shelby? Since those are all being rezoned.
Yes, that would be all. I mean, can the applicant just request an ARC survey for the project? Yeah, for the parcels that have not been surveyed, or should it just be the entire parcel or
I'm not sure
entire
what's the
acreage?
survey.
Well, the age of the survey, typically you would request a new survey at this point if it were this old, correct? I mean, it's what, 14 years old, 13 years old?
It's 13 years old, and yeah, they're only doing 3 now, but if we say they do the 3 and we approve it, and then 3 years down the line, they want to do the other 2,
Yeah.
would those other 2 have to come in front of us, or does it get stuck in this one?
No, this would be our opportunity to survey the parcels.
Okay, then they need to do their whole acreage.
Okay, Then I will retract the previous motion and make this new motion that we not accept the survey and require a new survey that covers parcels 047, 080, 11, 22, 23, 27, and 040, 050, 31. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Attorney Representative. Okay, and roll call. EBS is a yes. Alternate Representative?
Yes.
And Museum Representative.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries 3-1 for a new survey. Okay. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Shelby. Okay.
Thank you all. See you next time.
Then moving on to matters from staff. We've invited Northwest Information Center today to discuss their review process, and we have Brian Much here from Enwick. I'm sorry that Representative Cull isn't here, but we all have lots of questions.
That's okay.
So,
Yeah.
I think the idea, Brian, was to sort of reach out to Enwick and find out what the process is. So when you receive a request from us for review of either a survey or a parcel, what happens?
Yeah, absolutely. Is Shelby going to be able to stay? Because I get lots of them from Shelby. I hope she hangs
Yes,
out.
I
Cool.
will stay. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to see you here. Pleasure to meet you virtually if you're around this building somewhere.
Yeah, I'll actually go meet you in a second.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you.
You might be in a more comfortable spot there, so we'll catch up later.
Yeah.
And I guess before I start, is it permissible to speak about projects that you've just heard? Are they closed now?
I think we could use them as an example.
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
my goal would be,
Okay.
because I think they provide some interesting examples, two interesting examples
Yeah.
that I can tease out of them
Oh, great.
as my examples that you're all familiar with, at least in staff, and that's largely what my hope was here. Again, if you haven't known this, the NWIC has been down at Sonoma State for over 50 years now. Early on, we picked up what is called the inventory, which is a collection of maps and documents that relate to archaeological resources and architectural resources, and the survey reports across some counties. It started off as 4, now it's 18. And so much like Shelby showed on that neat ArcPro GIS thing, we've got that for 18 counties. We've got all the surveys referenced in our mapping system, in PDFs of those documents now, and a database of information to analyze the projects that come in from our local government partners, like County of Mendocino. And basically, we get into a process whereby your agreement specifies that you're going to be clearing some projects through an initial study context, and you want to help satisfy those needs. We're your subject matter experts, so you send us what you send us. Some of our local governments send us more, some send us less. Some use buffers around creeks and other environmentally determined models. Other counties have the Coastal Commission as their western boundary, so half of the projects are CEQA no matter what. Everyone has a different area. But at the end of the day, the reviewable packages come in from the county. And much like I see here stapled to, is it Nancy? Yeah. Nancy's packet, these come in. And they come into our email. And then Ryan picks them up. And Ryan chews through them. And Ryan loads them into our database to track that request. And so we track CDP 2024-0044 or CDP 2024-0045 as file numbers, and we assign them our own file numbers. And you guys get these letters later on in the packages coming back. And as it comes into our system, we capture your project areas, what your request area is, what the subject parcels are, what the subject action is, gets drawn in our GIS, and then gets added to our to-do list. Typically then that project is then picked up by some of my Secretary of the Interior qualified staff. So Lindsay, Dana, and Rudy all have their masters. So this is my team of experts. And so we review your projects. We look at those boundaries for sensitivity. At the beginning, it's presence absence. What do we know about it first? And on our maps, which is now in GIS, we'll look at it from what kind of resources are there. Do we have recorded resources? Archaeological resources, buildings, structures, objects, sites, districts. These are the National Register property types that we build off of in the state of California to define these resources that we're all chasing around documenting. They're kind of the known types that all the clients understand, and so we put the things we find out there into these buckets. And then they write up reports, surveys, maybe they'll get called, and then we give those report IDs on these ones. Back in 1989, an individual surveyed 100% of that first project, the first two projects that we heard today. We heard of a study, and we gave it this identifier 11137 in that process. And so then we mapped that original survey. And originally, the inventory is built from the clients going into our office to understand and build that due diligence process. They come on and do what's here first, because they get hired to do the project. It's chicken and the egg.
Client is the surveyor that was hired to do
Yeah,
the
totally.
archaeology.
Yeah, and it's chicken and the egg. Which comes first, the database or the contractor of archaeology? I don't know. It just happened. But once the ball was set in motion, it was a user-driven system to cover this inventory management functions. It's lasted over 50 years. It's pretty neat. Dave Fredrickson down at Sonoma State got this kind of idea on the heels of the National Historic Preservation Act having been passed in '66. So in 1966, there was a federal mandate for a statewide inventory. So everybody had to go out and figure out what they had, if you will. And so then later on, we get CEQA passing and building on some of the environmental movements, including cultural resources and with our natural resources. And so at the state level, we've required a statewide inventory now. And so our office, like I said, is one of 8 centers across the state helping the state manage that inventory. And so we look at your projects against that inventory of what has been reported and what efforts have been taken to locate resources. And then we take some notes, and then we move on to the next phase of the review process. And the next phase of the review process is typically looking at not what we'll call archaeological or cultural resource studies, but more what we'll call ethnographic research. So we'll dive into some of the linguistic and cultural information about some of the tribes that lived in the area that may not have found their way into this cultural resource inventory that we're talking about in that first section. So up in this neck of the woods, it's a lot of Barrett, maybe. We know Kroger, Barrett, Gifford, and we have all these different names of people that drew maps and made documentation along the way, a lot through Berkeley back in the day, or later on through Sonoma State. We have a lot of resources for that area of Native American resources that come in under historical cultural resources in a CEQA process. And we continue that research over into our historic era map research. So we move the slider up from maps of the old days to maps of the new days, if you will. In the coastal areas, we have general coast surveys that are old 19th century maps with amazing detail across the township and range system. There's the General Land Office plat maps, again, showing 19th century, late 19th, early 20th century maps. We pull up old survey maps from the U.S. Department of Army Corps of Engineers maps, later the USGS 15-minute series, and run through map research. We also have a bunch of historical documents that have proven helpful over the years. I've inherited, if you will. We've been doing this for a while now, so we've developed our own kind of library of historical literature that we'll review in a geography basis once you're comfortable working in Mendocino County. There's one, if you don't have it, the Mills of Mendocino County. Do you know that book?
No.
Oh, it's one of my faves. It's got like just an absolute gem of description of the location of these fly-by-night mills that popped up all over the county. A lot during
I do believe we have one of those in our reference library.
Yeah, I mean, the Depression era milling industry is huge, vitally important, I'm sure, for Mendocino County on projects. Shingles, a shingle industry out on your back, you could really supplement some money making some shingles and going down to the city and selling them. There's all sorts of different resources.
Wow.
Anyway, all sorts of shenanigans. So, long story short, there's a review taken to try to pick up these historic era potential resources that haven't been recorded yet, just like pre-contact resources that haven't been recorded yet. We're also examining the state's built environment inventory. So not everything got put on our map, so we also have lists from the State Office of Historic Preservation that include all of the buildings, structures, and objects that have gone through any registration programs, so National Register, California Register Points of Historic Interest, California Historic Landmark programs, any Section 106 projects. There's a giant lists of those. That gets quickly reviewed. And then at the end of the day, we're also looking at the natural environment. We're kind of peeling all of that away and looking at it from a geologic sense too. Is there an opportunity for subsurface archaeological material to have been buried there by some landscape evolution? 10,000 years of landscape history is pretty substantial. You guys have an area up to the north that I'm quite familiar with because I love the Lost Coast Range. Out there's Mendocino Triple Junction with these tectonic collisions of plates, and we've got really awesome paleo landscapes uplifted way up high from these tectonic activities. And in other places, we've got terraces that were occupied 15,000 years ago, submerged down bottom, and everything in between because of these landscape movements. So some areas are erosional, some areas are depositional, so we bring that into our calculus.
So one of my questions is, how do you make a determination that if an area has been surveyed, that it's no longer up to date?
That's a good one. I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if I may, just real quick, I noticed we have the TIPO from Sherwood Valley Rancheria on the line too, and I just wanted to invite her to, if you have any questions at all, please raise your hand. And, Jim? Okay. Sorry,
Okay,
Brian.
I will.
Thank you.
Brian.
Hello. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
So then we take that data set of information of all of that prior surveys, yes or no. Is it an old survey or is it a new survey?
Or information's been added since it was
Yeah,
surveyed?
absolutely. Has the landscape changed? Did they go out there in April and the grass was 5 feet high and greener than green, or did they go out there in August when they could see the ground? Was it after the fire or before the fire? All sorts of variables come in, so it really depends. But I'll get to a general age parameters in a bit too. But we shove all that information into our kind of mind, and out comes these silly checklists. So there's an awful lot of work, is what I'm trying to underscore, that go into these reviews. Just like your plan review, when you're reviewing them to your side, I feel like there's a very similar level of analyses, of reading through the documentation, trying to understand what's going on. But that's kind of what we do. There's a lot of specific questions. I want to talk about age of reports in a bit here. Yeah. Are there any other general questions I should touch on? And also being cognizant of people's time interest. But happy to, as these guys know, I can talk for it.
I would love to hear age of reports.
There is no answer.
Okay.
There really isn't. Sorry, my state partners are working on federal review at various offices. I hear a lot of 5-year-old stuff. We don't have anything that I can say that is the date. When I grew up as a pup at the center, I was always told about 15 years, 15, 20 years. We start looking at it.
Is there a way to add, because we get the landowners that say, well, this parcel's been surveyed, and they didn't find anything, and now you're asking me to, spend
Understood.
a couple of $1,000 more
Why should
dollars
I?
and do
Why
it
should
again.
I? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't know,
Yeah.
based on the information center,
Yeah.
why you're requiring a second survey when it's already been surveyed.
Yeah, one of the things we do historically is try to put a pithy statement in there that doesn't read very well. It says, I don't have any in these. Let's see. No. It would say something to the effect of, so had we not had study 56453 on the first 2 projects, I would have made a recommendation to the effect of study 11337 covered it 100%. However, based on the time of the survey and updated methods and theories, As well as, and I don't get into this wording, but you do have to understand in '89 they weren't looking at the broad swath of resources that I think folks are looking at in today's day and age and are concerned about and reliable for today's day and age. In 1989, historic era archaeology was barely being recognized as a discipline within our field. So the stone fence that's a township line dividing the rancho or something, or a monument maybe. Not to say it is the most significant thing, but that's over 50 years old. That's what we're trained to deal with nowadays, is cultural material that's over 50 years old.
Some of that
Begin
seems,
that-
I mean, I'm
I
old
know,
enough, it's
I know,
like,
but the
wait a minute,
concept.
that was the
Yeah.
house I was raised in, that's like,
Absolutely.
if that's really
And at
not
the end
National
of the,
Register.
yep, well, that's why it'll go through the process just fine. But the concept is to create a triage of it and of an inventory, evaluate, and manage. And if you can get out of that second step and be like, yep, it's not important, we don't have to worry about it, move on, project move forward. So I mean, there's a hope there that that's mentally what the field was meant to set. Like if we have a solid understanding, get this inventory out of the way, know what's out there, we know where a project can affect something that we value as a community. And until we know what's out there, we're not going to know where our impacts are going to be. If we create that baseline, maybe we understand that. And that's for archaeological resources, for the built environment and the like. And that's in essence what the goal is. In this case, with these projects, a new survey came in, a 2021 survey that covered 100% of the project. So I didn't have to, quote, request it. And then that survey didn't find any archaeological resources, but documented some historic era resources, but they talk about it in an evaluative structure. So that's a great one there, because there we're looking in to see, do these people actually meet their criteria to make these statements?
Right.
So there's some of that to go on. But there, that's their language, not ours. We don't evaluate it. We're just passing that information on to you, the county. So our office will never say that we agree with that evaluation. You'll often hear me push back on that. Sometimes planners are like, hey, do you guys agree with this report? You're like, thanks, I received the report.
Yeah.
It covers 100% of the project. Do I agree with it? No. But that's not my job, it's not my lane to agree with it. I look at it from a coverage standpoint. You as the lead agency have to agree to receive it in an adequacy standpoint.
Okay.
I can pinch around at aspects of it, but that's it. The field methods of the professionals are meant to be carried forward by and large. If they're obviously stating that they went out there and the bull kept them out of the back paddock, then I can make a recommendation on this next project that you guys get out to that back paddock and get it surveyed. Because the archaeologists said that they couldn't get to it. So while they did have a current survey, building envelope is a great one here. This is why, like your last project, I love the holistic view of getting the survey done, because it allows to me, the resource management, to understand the whole, not be surprised later. And if a building envelope gets designated over here and then later wants to get moved over here, that baseline survey has been completed and we know we can put it wherever and not be like, oh, now we're going to bring another company out. Boom. And that's when it gets really expensive, if you have to bring people out multiple times to handle stuff.
If at all possible, because at that point, it might just be a ministerial permit.
Exactly, if it even happens, exactly,
Yeah.
But one of the things that we're also doing is looking at percent coverage, and that brings us to our last project. And you guys kind of touched on it, and I can also see, this is one of the reasons this is a two-way street. I want to come up to meet with the county to better understand how you receive our information, just like you guys wanted me to hear to talk about how do I review yours. And I can see on the last project rather, that the concept that 2012 study only covered a portion of these current rezoning efforts didn't come through enough. That was the biggest issue. 13-year-old studies, we have been generally advised to consider as probably good enough.
Adequate, yeah.
Probably good enough. But what we can talk about is coverage. So if it's didn't cover it, okay, that's a different conversation. So it's like, if I'm not mistaken, the 2012 survey only covered the creek corridor, not the parcels, not the terraces adjacent to the creek. Well, honestly, most folks don't live in the creek bed.
Right, without the floodplain, right, exactly.
That would laugh my ass off.
Well,
But,
and
anyway, so,
also,
like, that
it's
was-
once it gets to a certain
Yeah.
point,
Yeah.
we have no more input.
And that's also why for something like a subdivision request, a rezone, we have been trained, I have been trained, they have been trained to understand the view of, seek what does mean for us to understand this land use change and the opportunity and the discretionary process. This is our opportunity.
Yeah.
To create that baseline, to understand the resources at risk or not, and provide development in an appropriate manner. And that's how we approach it. So, but somewhere around 20 years, I start calling it old and stinky. To answer your question directly.
To summarize that, to pass on to a landowner who says, well, this was
Mhm.
already surveyed. What's the pithy statement?
What's the pithy statement? It's
You know,
gonna be all in one of our response.
There's been a
Yeah.
lot more
Yeah,
information.
well, and it's method changes, sometimes there's landscape changes, there's seasonality differences. There's a lot of variables that can affect the differences of it. Time of year is a huge one.
Yeah.
20 years ago, if I went up to some of my friends' spots up in the Miacamas versus now, I'm gonna get a way different survey now than I would have gotten 20 years ago with the veg that would have been there before the burns. Like,
Oh.
you know, so because you're post-fire, and granted now it's gonna get a little gnarly, but still there's a lot of underbrush that's not there anymore. So,
I did a survey once that had been burned over. It overlooked the Puda Creek up in Knoxville. And there were, the manzanita had all burned down, like, 2 feet into the ground. The roots had just been gone. And when you looked in the holes, there were quartz crystals everywhere.
Yeah.
Like big ones. Like it must have been a gathering site
wow.
for quartz crystals. But you wouldn't have seen them laying on the surface with manzanita bushes all
Right.
around them, Well, never know.
There's also new technologies. I mean, we're doing a lot nowadays, and I say we, not me, I can't contract anymore. But the profession is using new technologies as well to remotely sense. I mean, gosh, it's gonna come to a time where it's like one person heads out there with maybe a box of gear and is able to cover a survey area with technologies that are far
Or a
superior.
drone that does
That's what I mean. Far superior than
Ground
the daydreaming archaeological technician walking 30 meters apart from each other, you know what I mean? Barely able to see the ground because of the grasses, and this drone's going through with some LiDAR technology, sees right through it. Understands what, just pops it right out. I mean, so some of that's there too. I mean, we have new technologies nowadays that are being employed that allow for, current standards. Since, I don't know, you had a physical 10 years ago, you're gonna not get one this year.
Okay, well, that helps,
I would like that.
Yeah.
Because we get land on,
Yeah.
Oh,
it
absolutely.
doesn't come up very frequently, but, people do come in and say,
Oh,
I've got a survey here that was already done,
Yeah. No, I hate doing it. I mean, it's tough because I don't understand until someone, it's not one that I feel I have the authority to put a hard line on it. I wish I had a hard line so we'd apply a general sense of rules to it. Our folks above us, whoever's setting the games up, are not giving us explicit, they're telling us to be,
So this is state, your boss is state level?
Yeah. And I think that discretion is purposeful for appropriate reasons. I think it's different in different areas.
So what would be the agency that would be your boss at the state level?
The State Office of Historic Preservation.
Okay.
They're the ones that set the standards for our recording manuals, develop our numbering system, create the standards for our centers.
Have
our
we
operations
changed the
manual.
numbering system? I mean, when I was doing work, it was a county number, maybe it was CA-Sonoma dash.
Yeah.
But I see other numbers attached now.
In the mid-90s, and archaeologists are slow to adapt at times. We love them, but they are. I'm one of them. But in the mid-90s, a new numbering system was born. It's called the primary numbering system. It's the P-23 up here. So the 23, there's 58 counties in the state of California. Mendocino was the 23rd in that numerical list.
So they don't like MEN.
So the P dash is the same as the CA-MEN. But it's a number that gets assigned to all resources, just not a certain set of resources that have certain forms filled out. It's meant to be more holistic. And it got issued out when these DPR 523 forms got born in the mid-90s, or primary records.
It was fun though, when you'd look up, you'd do a survey and you'd look up the area and there'd be some site that the number on it would be like 10. For that county or something, It's like, whoa, this is an old one.
Yeah. The numbers are getting big, absolutely. But yeah.
Well, do you have any questions?
No,
Nancy?
that was pretty much a lot of information, but thank you.
Looking online then, Shelby, Lindsay, or Valerie, any questions? I know I got a couple.
I forget they're quiet.
None for me. I'm processing what has been said, so
Yeah,
I might come
there's a
up with
lot.
something in a minute, but right now, no.
Okay. Shelby, anything from the planner perspective? I've got a question. I'm wondering if you've got one. And Shelby, probably not there. Valerie, any questions, any thoughts from you?
Lots of thoughts. My questions will be directed more to Brian, but just some. I think it's great that you brought this up. I learn so much every time I speak to you. I think for the Art Commission, that's part of for the tribes. When we respond, you see what we have to read through. I've got to be that Northwest Information Center here at Sherwood, because the numbers were P23 and then they were this and then they were that. Trying to wade and find through those things sometimes can be a little daunting, and it may seem a little irritating, but we know where we live. I mean, one of my biggest problems that I have is the timber industry. When there's art sites, we don't get to go out on their land because they're private. But we know there's sites there. We have to rely on like a state archaeologist and stuff like that. And one of the things as we're going along, I mean, I understand people wanting surveys or not because there was one already done, but a lot of what I'm seeing where I'm familiar with on the coast is there's people that are now in their 70s, 80s, 90s gone. They're selling their land off, and that maybe was the last time that land was surveyed. So it is important to get that done today as they're looking to develop more. I mean, those of you that live along the coast, and you'll see, especially, well, I guess because their applications are coming through planning around Casper, those banks are eroding into the ocean, and they're exposing some things. Blame it on climate change is what I hear. But we still have knowledge those things are there. Some of those places we haven't been able to get into for years and years and years. So that's really all that I have to say. But I appreciate you guys, getting Brian to come and talk. I think it's always important to hear those things.
Yeah.
It's not just the tribes whiny. My job is to do cultural resource protection.
Thank you for being here, Valerie.
Thanks, Valerie. Oh, he is? Okay. In this lobby. Oh,
Yeah, so I think you might have shown.
okay. What I'm going to do then before we proceed is I'm going to call a break, and we will reconvene, say, at 3:05.
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to take a break and pick up the meeting again at 3:05.
Sounds good.
Are we muted? Shelby, are you there? This is the agent for the last project that we just looked at.
you're set.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mark Kleiser, a planner with Mendocino County, and I am calling to order again the Archaeological Commission meeting of June 11th, 2025 at 3:02 p.m. And we have in the room now the agents for item 4C, which was application number GP 2024-002. Because the agents did not have an opportunity to be here while the item was discussed, I'm going to make a motion then to retract our decision earlier. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second now to retract our determination for item 4C. You do a roll call. PBS is yes. Alternate representative?
Yes.
And museum representative?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we are back at square one for item 4C. So I'm going to go ahead and just call everything back to order with this item. So we're going to be revisiting item 4C. That's case number GP 2024-000/R2024-002. Owner is Feliz Creek Vineyard LLC. Applicant is Stephen Amato and agent is Jim Ronco. Again, the request is general plan amendment and rezone to change the land use classification of 3 parcels from range land RL 160, 160 acre minimum, to agricultural Ag 40, which is a 40 acre parcel minimum. Project is located approximately 3 miles northwest of Hopland Town Center, and that's approximately 1.5 miles northwest of the intersection of Feliz Creek Road and County Road 110. It is addressed at 3557, 3565, and 3563 Feliz Creek Road. Parcel numbers are 047-08011, 2227, and 05031. Staff planner is Shelby Miller. I know we reached out to you earlier, Shelby, but any comments on this item?
Sure, thank you, Mark. I just want to state that this is the second time this project has been heard by the Art Commission. The first time the Art Commission recommended that the applicant or landowner obtain the previously conducted archaeological survey that was prepared on February 6th, 2012 by North Coast Resource Management, NCRM. Yeah, so today we are bringing this ARC survey to the commission for review and determination. That is all. Thank you.
Okay, and just to make sure I'm clear on this, so the first time it came to ARC was under agenda item 3, survey required. It was to determine if a survey would be required. Is that correct?
Yes, because the Northwest Information Center stated that there was a previously conducted survey, and that, what else was it? Let me look again. Basically, yeah, that there was a survey done, and there is, sorry, my phone's ringing, but there is the proposed project parcels have the possibility of containing unrecorded archaeological sites due to the proximity of known archaeological sites located in similar events as the proposed project parcels. And they essentially, they also had recommendations that stated that there may be 2 historical era sites on the project site. But yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, so then commission then required a survey. The item was rescheduled for today with the older survey submitted for this hearing, correct? that we have in
Yes.
front of us.
So I have a comment.
Sure.
So the older survey was on the creek for 2 dam removals, and the parcel number is 02. The same,
boundary line Shelby was talking about.
okay, so I'm not sure, I'm trying to figure out where that falls within the modern parcels. So where is this compared to this?
Well, that's actually old too. Our parcels are all on the west side of the creek.
Really?
Yes.
So this
Those
is
are
the-
the old parcels
Oh
So,
my.
before the BLA.
Thank you, Shelby. So we do have the agent here. And we,
Nothing east of the creek is going to be rezoned, only the parcels on the west side.
So this is not accurate with Felice
No.
Creek going right through the middle of everything.
The parcels are now separated
Yeah,
by the
there's
creek.
a
There's
line
3
there.
parcels on the west side and 1 on the east side.
aha,
So none of our maps are accurate.
okay. Shelby, do you have the maps that were generated rather by the cartographer? Are those maps different, or these are those maps, aren't they?
Yes, the ones that are provided in the packet are prepared by our cartographer.
Do we have a boundary line adjustment associated with the project in our system, and do we have those tentative or maybe approved maps?
Yes, let me look 1 second.
Okay. So those approved maps then should show us what we're looking at, but
This is the old survey, which was for 2 dam removals, so it basically just covers the creek.
right.
This is what we were given for the 5
Yeah.
parcels.
And I
But
think this is incorrect, but I'm pretty sure this is the creek right through there. So anything that is west of the creek is what's being rezoned, or is it
No,
the
other
other
way.
way?
East,
Okay.
east side,
So
sorry,
anything
probably
east
side
of
of
the
the creek. East
And-
side of the creek's being.
So is the size the same? So you're just not counting the land on the east side? Or has
East.
this whole thing been moved to the, I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
well, so it was a boundary line adjustment. Which line was adjusted? Was it this one? Well, I guess Shelby will pull this up, or if you've got it.
And I still don't know where that put that map. Where this falls
Yeah.
on this. You can kind of probably guess, because it's a curve, but
So I'm gonna show the assessor's parcel map. That also shows the, let's say, the creek and all that stuff. While I am looking for the boundary line adjustment tentative map, sorry, 1 second. Cool, so you see that, right?
Yes.
Then, yeah, the associated, okay, yeah. So these are the new, I think, numbers.
okay.
Yeah, okay, because
Jeremy, can you email that to Jocelyn?
I can try. I don't know if I'm on
Are you on?
Wi-Fi here.
so this one, like these, yeah, these area is basically, all the ones that are in red are what are the parcels, I'm pretty sure.
So
Yeah.
those are the 3 parcels, okay. So then the project request would be changed. So we've got 3 addresses, but then we would just need those 3 new APNs.
So it looks like, is it one parcel then that's to the,
Yeah, the west
West
is just
of the-
one big.
it follows the creek line?
Yeah, the creek
Okay.
is the boundary.
And so the other side, that horizontal line's gone.
Yes.
That's
Oh,
right
and this
there.
little
That's not-
square one's been absorbed
Yep.
then
That
in
horizontal
parcel
line
3.
was just an AP line.
So this curve
It's
is
not
right
a
there.
parcel.
So this curve from the creek and this curve, that's one parcel.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, that one's gone. And this looks like, so it's one,
There's just
two,
There's 3.
and
third little
3.
line.
Oh, but creek, only from the creek above, okay.
Oh, there is a third there.
Yeah, so it'd be from the, that's like a line right here.
Yeah.
So 1, 2,
So these are 1, 2, and 3. Those are the
Yep.
only 3.
Those are
Okay.
the ones being rezoned. This is rangeland.
and it's
That's what it's
9,
being
and
used as, and that's
16, and 83, 63, 80,
83.
83, 93.
And the addresses on the request,
108.
3557, 3565, and 3563 are correct?
Yeah, they're the homes that are there.
Okay.
So that's 3557, that's 3565, and then that's 3563.
Okay.
And it's 108.
And those are parcels 1, 2, and 4.
Yes.
And we just need, and it looks like there's parcel numbers up there. I cannot read those to save my life. Is that, Shelby, is that through, I can't.
I'm sorry, what are you asking?
Yeah, it's 31 through 34.
31 through 34. Okay, so the new APNs are 047, 080, 31,
Oh, gosh. Yes.
32, and, wait, 3.
3-2 is this.
Okay, so 31, 33, and 34.
Yes.
31, 33, and 34.
I think 32 is, well, is that correct or no?
No, that's rangeland and it's staying rangeland.
Okay,
We're not
Thank you.
zoning that.
Okay. So we are
hold
rezoning.
on.
Okay.
Oh, you can go, sorry, I'm just
Oh,
holding for something else.
so now we're looking at rezoning those 3 parcels ending in 31, 33, and 34. And all those parcels are east of Felice Creek.
This is like a line.
Yes.
Okay, so then getting back to Nancy's original question, what segment of this is reflected in this
Do you know where the
survey?
dams were from the map?
Yeah, before I was around.
Okay,
2 of them.
Yeah.
You
So-
can probably tell from the curve in
Let's see if
the
you see
creek,
the
although the
picture.
creek may have changed.
Yeah.
There's the survey report.
Really zoomed out.
I don't see those.
well,
It looks
Where's
like
this,
right here.
where's this road?
So that road is that,
So that's one end of it, right there.
if that's right, or that could also be even, I don't know, or it might be that. It's hard to tell from. Because that's not really a road anymore, that just goes through the property.
So, Aerial.
since none of these maps are visible to either the public or Commissioner Dick, I'm going to ask the agent, if this were continued to a date certain, which would be next month, would that be acceptable? Because we're looking at maps now that are not accurate. We're discussing a project that is not visible to, one of our commissioners and the public.
Wait, which one is not visible to the commissioner?
The one that we're looking at on Jeremy's computer.
Oh, sorry, it's not on
Yeah.
the ARC survey?
No, the ARC survey is showing 5 parcels, and the map that you're showing and the one that Jeremy has up, this is post-boundary line adjustment, are different.
This is not the archaeology.
If Jeremy wants to try and join
Our
the
survey is
Zoom and
just
share
the creek.
screen, he can do that.
Do you have Wi-Fi?
I'm not on your Wi-Fi, is the only problem. You guys have a.
You can do it should just be Mendocino guest. And then the password is welcome friends with a capital W and a capital F.
Yeah, so here, I don't think I
Trying to
have any
think of this
parcels.
This, I think we're going from here to here.
I think so too. And if we can get, Jeremy's map up, it's significantly cleaner than this one. Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you.
Do you know where these lot lines would have been originated from? Is this just like the property like 20 years ago or something?
Oh, we did that like a couple of years back, right?
Yeah.
But that's
a
not
year
what
ago.
you want to do now?
No.
Okay.
Do you have a project number for that boundary line adjustment? Do you recall?
He might have it on him.
Shelby?
Oh, I have it.
Oh, what's
It's,
that?
I guess I actually could pull, wait, I could pull that out myself. It's boundary line adjustment 2024
Oh,
dash 0007.
and do you have in the folder, do you have recommendations from Arc Commission when that project went to Arc? And-
It was not in ARC
it
because
didn't-
it
it didn't
was
go to ARC, you're right.
inland.
Yeah. Yeah, never mind. Okay.
Yeah, it was just a BLA.
Yeah, all right.
It's not letting me connect for some reason.
Well,
By any chance, Jeremy, is it a MacBook or is it a,
This is the Dell PC.
because I was gonna say AirDrop will work.
I don't know why it's not letting me on. Encino County Gas.
That's just
So it's
where I saw
Welcome,
that other
friends. Capital W, capital
Capital
W.
L.
number of where it was located.
Is there a space
Oh,
in between?
true.
No, no space.
and it's plural, friends. It's not something, there's no numbers right now, just welcome friends.
Just welcome, friends.
You catch it. Looks
Yeah,
right.
it looks right. In that blank.
Maybe I just missed that. Friends with an S?
Yes.
I can also, pull up the GIS map that we have.
They call this
Or-
person over this.
Is the
Google
GIS
Maps.
updated though, since it was just last year?
Probably.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, everything I've seen,
Um,
it's always an issue with this one.
And without the parcel map here.
What are we just seeing if it's west or east of the Felice Creek?
You're on.
Well,
Kinda.
well, let's see if you can get this up first.
Saying you guys don't have internet.
Says I'm on, but I don't have
That's so
internet.
Maybe if he just holds it up close enough so the owl Lindsay can see it.
Damn.
Oh yeah, do you have it on phone? Can you access it?
That map, you mean?
I mean, I must have emailed it to you at some point. I wonder if I can.
I have it right here.
Well.
If you could even just email it to me or Shelby.
What's your email? Let me see.
I think you're
Or you could do it to
requesting
Shelby.
just further it another month.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can, because I think we're looking at having new maps done for this.
Third of the
I
land,
mean,
pretty
yeah.
much do.
We want everything to be right and to be going off of correct information, but we also, I mean, you know, we want this to move along as quickly as possible, and
I think
we've already waited a couple months for this committee, so if we can get through this today, it's gonna be better.
Yeah.
I just emailed it to Shelby,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think.
You sent it to me?
Yes.
Cool. I'll wait for it.
Your stuff's working.
Can't actually get 5G.
Now, when you submitted the application for this project, Shelby, do you have the application? Is there a map enclosed with the application for this rezone? Can you pull that up in the meantime?
Yeah, I have this one here.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, so we're looking at
That's
three,
what we should have.
that's what we should be looking at. Okay.
1, 2, yeah, 3.
Can you zoom in a little bit on that?
Mhm.
So we have parcel 3, parcel 1, and what's the middle one? Parcel 2?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so we can see where the creek goes through there. In
Yeah,
the
the
upper.
creek is right here.
Okay. All right. So then anything east of the line is what we're looking at. I mean, east of the creek is what we're looking at. And we're assuming, I don't know what portion of the creek was surveyed based on this map. I would guess that it was probably the creek from the northern portion down to the southern portion where the
No, I don't think
line.
it's that big. I
No?
think it's from where what looks like a road, a horizontal, or a, sloping diagonal road, that looks like that may have been where one of the dams was. And then
Okay.
it all went down to, on the bigger map, you can see a road cut that shows up on a USGS map as that, little dash line. And it's kind of where the bottom parcel line is, I think. I think that was the survey of the creek.
Okay. So with that in mind, well, I'd just like to throw in my 2 cents. So we're looking at parcels that are currently rangeland and are going to be rezoned to ag land. We have a portion of those parcels that has been previously surveyed just right around the riparian area.
The borderline.
Nothing that goes further east all the way to the other parcel. The issue that we're looking at here is that this is potentially our last opportunity to look at this through the lens of CEQA and the archaeological section. So, and the reason why that's important is because once this rezone goes through and those parcels are ag land, any ministerial type project that's allowed on ag land would not have to go through a discretionary review, which means we would not have an opportunity to request an ag survey at that time. Something like that might be cannabis. I know rangeland is not viable for new cannabis. I do believe ag land is a viable option for phase 3 cannabis projects. Those are so quasi-ministerial, but they would not require an ag survey. Gosh, I think.
They require a sequel.
Oh, I have this, by the way. I just got Steve and Lotto's email.
Do you, I'm sorry, Shelby, to ask you, but is there, oh, nice.
Hold on, sorry. There we go.
Yeah. I don't have phase 3 of the cannabis ordinance memorized. Do you know, can you look and see if a project on ag, phase 3 cannabis?
I can ask Jamie.
Okay, oh, good.
I know there's one thing where I think it's on actually 10:8:17. Hold on.
Do you want me to just ask Jamie to come in?
Or,
Oops.
sure, that'd be great, thank you. And if you zone down to the grid, scroll down to the grid.
Are you with the grid? Because I think the grid might not be on this.
It might be
one,
in
I don't remember.
2242.
Yeah, but this
Yeah.
one, it says the cultivation of cannabis in Mendocino County
Yeah.
in any amount shall not be allowed in the following areas.
Yeah, the grid is in 242.
Okay.
Okay, so is that phase 1 or 3?
It says existing, so I think it's
Okay,
phase
so
1.
scroll down, I think it might be table 2.
Yeah, that's-
Cultivation, okay.
yeah.
So what do we have on ag? So zoning clearance, AP for small artificial, zoning clearance for medium outdoor, and zoning clearance for large. Okay, so to my point then, if you requested any of these outdoor cultivation sites, that's a zoning clearance that would not require a discretionary review. So this would be our opportunity then to look at the parcel, determine if there's any artifacts out there that need to be addressed, and then we could create building envelopes. At least we would have a survey then that would say something was noted here and perhaps not developed there at that time, or something to that effect. So that's why I think a survey would be important. That's my 2 cents on this project. And Lindsay and Nancy.
I'm not sure it matters what the next phase is, as long as this is our only chance to have it surveyed.
Okay. Lindsay, any thoughts before we reach out to the applicants and agents?
I mean, I stand by what I said earlier. If this is our only time, then we need to have it.
A full survey?
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen.
Yeah. All right, I gotta be careful here. So, only place that cannabis would be able to go in that area is already pre-developed land that had existing
That's
vineyard.
what I'm wondering.
So vineyards have been there, developed, dug, and such. So we're gonna survey something that's already developed, just because this is the only chance to do it.
Well, the vineyard could be pulled out and cannabis could be proposed.
Right.
But what's I mean, it's disturbed.
It's
We're
been-
not gonna find anything. That's been
For
You
decades.
might, you might right up next to the creek, or be on a slope that
Well, the
wasn't.
creek's been
Creek,
stubbed.
you're not allowed to put cannabis within 200 feet of the creek.
I think that
Good
it's our
point.
chance to serve, I think that, we're.
It's a big impact to our project.
Major.
That's why we're, adamant again. I mean, if there's really a real chance of finding something, sure. But I mean, all that stuff on the east side, it's super built out, it's developed. They've already gone through and studied a big chunk of this. We were not expecting to have to
They studied the creek.
Well, it said there was, a quarter mile from what they studied, which is most of the
But
site.
it was a dam, they were taking out dams, so the only survey was like within a creek flood. It wasn't even like livable site areas that would be out of the floodplain.
I'm not super
So-
familiar with these, but what I read, it said they did ground investigation and they said they didn't find anything within
Is
a
this
quarter
survey?
mile.
They looked at the dams.
So they did the dam abutment. Where's the survey? That's division public plan.
Is this heritage, is this maps?
There we go.
Background. You start filling up.
And also just wanted to note for the record, I'm unsure, whether, cannabis would be like grown on this site. I know that there was, some or I don't know, there was I had a meeting with Jeremy Ronco and, we kind of briefly discussed a comment I received from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I just wasn't sure whether, like what was proposed for this project in the future. So I don't know, I'm just saying that we're, I don't
In
know if
fairness,
there's.
I don't think we know either, so, I mean, if it's a concern, it's legitimate to look at it. I just, this is all about trying to fund. He's looking at cannabis, he's looking at all kinds of, he's looking at something to make money off of because grapes are not
Okay.
profitable anymore.
And I need to refinance.
We don't know. We're trying to refinance this or we're trying to rezone this
Right.
because lenders don't even want to look at rangeland. So we don't, you know, we don't know yet what we're doing.
Okay.
Cannabis is in the mix. We're not gonna say we're definitely not doing that, but I don't know. But it's
Okay.
more of a, you know, if, are we just gonna delay this and go through the expense to study areas that are not gonna find?
Well, we don't know that. I mean, the study does note that they did surveys near these abutments of the dam here. It doesn't appear to speak about anything that was surveyed outside of that area. And then additionally, the survey only seems to note that area around the creek.
And that goes back a lot farther. This-
Well, yeah, and then you have another riparian area that appears to go through there too, which is evidence of possibly more findings.
I just feel,
Let me see, I just start digging in the middle of my vineyards? Like, how does this work?
Oh, well, you'd have to have an archaeologist come there and he would just do transects every, what is it, 10
somebody would
meters,
survey
5
the
meters?
open ground area, and then if they did find something, they would help you figure out what was sensitive and what wasn't, and how you could arrange things. You could put soil over some things, you could move the boundaries of some buildings. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that people work with landowners to protect archaeological sites, instead of just, you know, like bulldozing through them.
Right. And
But if nobody looks, then we never know. And I've been through a lot of vineyards that have had archaeological sites ripped up, and there's still a lot of stuff there. It's
And
not
this
like
is
they
standard
disappeared.
for every rezone?
if it's determined that archaeological stuff is evident, or their survey has never been done, then yes. Yeah, especially depending on the comments back from Northwest Information Center, which have stated that, and I can read those to you. The proposed project has a possibility of containing unrecorded archaeological sites due to the proximity of known archaeological sites located in similar environments. They're recommending additional surveys, conduct further archival surveys. They're noting that there were 2 recorded historic era resources on the property. You know, everything points towards a new survey of the area that was not studied. Before
Of
Good
the
news
area
is
that was
half
not
the
studied.
property that we thought needed to be looked at.
Yeah.
The original
Yeah.
parcel showed
I
it almost
still-
300 acres, now they're down to
Read
108.
this, I thought it was more than
Yeah.
just the creek. Yeah, the first time I read this, I thought that they did more than just the creek. And that's what
I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nancy, but I don't see,
Are you in the right,
oh no, I'm not in the right one.
what do you?
Yeah, I
what do
was
you
looking to
think?
see how the survey was done, if they talked about transects, meters between spots. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of background, but I'm not like seeing any methods. Oh, here we go, methods.
Field methods, section 6.
Mark, do you need this one? If you don't break your neck.
Oh, thank you.
This also says ground surface visibility was generally poor due to thick vegetation. Patches were cleared periodically.
Lots of
Looking at the
different-
cut banks of the creek, back dirts from rodents.
The entirety of the project area is detailed in section 3. 2 historic period cultural resources were identified within the project area, and then they identified 1, the extent of Felice Creek Dam, and 2, an older dam abutment believed to be the remains of Helmet Dam. The archaeologists completed the field work on October 8, 2011, so 14 years ago. Yeah, I only see that these 2 sites were looked at.
Why didn't they do more when they had the opportunity then?
I'm not sure.
Well, they actually found that they didn't meet the criteria for historical sites, so they might have just kind of dropped it.
It says that the County Department of Transportation proposes to remove a dam on Felice Creek
There you go.
with the goal of restoring a free-flowing fluvial ecosystem.
Yes.
So the study was conducted to meet the standards of the National Historic Preservation Act and CEQA.
So this is why. So DOT went in to remove the dam, so only the area that was being impacted was being looked at. They weren't proposing any other work outside of the riparian area, so that's why they limited it to this one area. Had they come in at the time with something like a rezone, then the entire parcel would have been looked at. Since your project is affecting the entirety of the parcel, then we have to look at the whole parcel as potential for any discretionary uses, ministerial uses in the future that might not be captured under this. So this is why the commission seems to be requesting further surveys. I'd like to reach out to see if there's anybody from the public who has any comments before we bring this back to the staff. Anyone from the public? Okay, seeing no one. Anything more from the agent or are you the applicant? Yeah. Anything more from the agent or the applicant?
I guess not. Looking for one.
So yeah, here this is pretty much what tells us that only the stream was looked at, and the rest of the parcel is up for consideration at this point since it's a rezone of the entire parcel.
Yeah.
Is there a process of I can't think of the word, challenging this whole thing?
We can appeal.
Yeah, they can be
but
appealed.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in this letter from, there are no recorded Native American cultural resources within a quarter mile.
Okay.
That's
Where's
what it
that?
is. That's one of the letters from NCRM. Page 25 of the study. At least PDF page 25. I don't know if that's going to be real page 25.
Can you show me what that letter looks like? Are you looking at the attachment for today's hearing?
No,
Oh.
this is the study. There. I'll get to it. Looks like that one.
Okay. And who was the letter from?
Brian Much, NCRM.
Who was it addressed to? Oh, they're all just the same person. Okay. These are just reaching out to tribes, which is standard protocol.
He had information apparently that made him think there wasn't any Native American
I
resources.
don't see that. This is required by the state that we reach out to the tribes in the area. So this is what that letter is. But the study itself, like I said,
Yeah.
it is
Thought that was
only
part of the
surveyed the
study.
creek area, and everything east of the creek has not been looked at. So
Okey-doke.
And I will ask for a motion. I need the last one.
Oh, okay. To require an archaeological survey of the 3 parcels. I'll let you fill in the numbers
Okay.
for archaeological and historic, prehistoric and historic findings.
Okay, so I have a motion to require a new survey of parcels 047080331, 33, and 34. Shelby, can you confirm that those in fact are the new parcel numbers?
Sorry, I'm going to pull that up again.
And I'm not sure where the parcel 002 comes from with that same number. That's the one that's mentioned in the report for the creek.
Probably just the old
That
AP
was,
number.
that was the old AP number before boundary line adjustment was conducted or approved.
Can you read them off again?
I have 047080331, 33, and 34.
Yes, that is correct. With the
Okay.
new boundary line adjustment, that did not indicate any of that on the one map that we had. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So then I will read the motion made by alternate representative, and that's to require a survey of parcels 047080331, 33, and 34. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call then. Alternate representative,
Yes.
museum rep,
Yes.
and PBS is a yes as well. So motion carries 3-1. Survey will be required for the parcels ending in 31, 33, and 34. Thank you.
Okey-doke.
Thank you for attending. I appreciate that. Okay. All right.
Confusing, sorry. I was confused.
All right.
Parcels changed. Look.
So then we will return to item 5, and we'll finish that item up, which was matters from staff and the visit from Northwest Information Center. Any further questions for Enwick? No? Okay. I want to thank you very much for showing up.
I want to thank you.
All right.
This was
Yeah.
absolutely everything I needed.
Okay, good.
This was actually a little more complicated than.
Exactly, I
Yeah.
needed something.
Yeah.
I got so much fodder to discuss with the crew.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate your time. I guess the main thing to underscore from my view is our partnership, our longstanding nature, and just, to the commissioners, of which whoever's here today, and staff, let's just keep working together, figuring out the right way through this.
Agreed. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up, all of you. So then on to matters from the commission. Any matters from commissioners? No?
I won't be here for the next meeting. The public computer will be open at the reference library here at the museum, but I won't be able to attend.
Do we have a quorum?
Bill shows up.
If Bill shows up, we will. We'll have
Well,
to,
let me know.
yeah, we'll let you know. Okay, and any matters from the public then? Item number 7, any matters from the public? Okay, seeing none, adjournment. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next month. Tell me when we're dead.
Almost.
Not yet.
The mouse isn't working again. Okay, now you're good.
All right, really good?
Very
Really,
interesting.
really